Namaste and good evening to one and all. Welcome to Leaders Connect 360's episode LC0114. Leaders Connect 360 is CSR initiative by Bija Training and organized by the Mass Leadership. My name is Janani and I am pursuing my BCom Honors degree at SRM. Leaders Connect 360 is started with a specific objective of inviting 1,000 plus leaders and create 1,000,000 leaders. It is an online hub where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we learn from top management leaders on Zoom Live. And once in quarter, in each city, we have an offline networking meet to network, support, and grow with the leaders. That's when we call it Leaders Create More Leaders. Currently, all are muted, and we will be giving you an opportunity to speak to our guest, Mr. Sandeep Batra, Chief Financial Officer, Pidilite Industries Limited, on the topic Fin All. Before you are unmuted, let me share that we are currently live on LinkedIn and this episode LC0114 is being recorded. First-time visitors may click on the WhatsApp, FB and LinkedIn link on the chat box to get updated by joining us in creating more leaders. All in the house are requested to turn on your videos, which will help in making the episode highly interactive. So, are we all ready to interact with our guest, Mr. Sandeep Batra, panel discussion leader, Mr. Vinodh, and the author of the week, Ms. Rosemary? Then share a thumbs up or smiley emoji in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you. Before the introduction of the guest, let me also introduce Mr. Prakash Sharma, the founder director of the Mass Leadership, will interact with our guest along with the panel discussion leader, Mr. Vinodh. I shall welcome you all. Over to you, Mr. Prakash.
Hey, thank you very much, Janani. And welcome, Mr. Sandeep Batra. Welcome, Vinodh, for the Leaders Connect 360 episode.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, it's been a great that you've joined us here. So for the members and visitors, Mr. Sandeep is honored that through LinkedIn is what we got the connect, and humbly he had accepted our request for being our guest of honor today on the specific unique topic called Fin All, which is how can we simplify the finance? So there's so many people out there who everyone's needed. So how can we simplify finance? That's where we are discussing. For that, we also have our panel discussion leader, Mr. Vinodh Rajan, who's also a chartered accountant. Thanks very much, Mr. Vinodh, for accepting to be our panel discussion leader for this episode as well.
Thank you, Prakash.
Great. So with all that, let's start our episode Fin All. But before that, we have a quick introduction for the video for Mr. Sandeep as well as for Vinodh Rajan, which is how we invite or welcome all our leaders who comes. So Arul, kindly play the video of the professional experience knowing by Sandeep and Vinodh. Thank you very much, Arul, for that awesome video. And we welcome once again Sandeep, Vinodh, as well as Ms. Rosemary. He missed you, but thanks for taking up the role, being our author of the week this time. And we'll definitely give an opportunity by 7, where we'll be having a small quiz as well. So for all the best members and visitors, now that you are aware how the panel discussion goes, so without taking much time, I would request all the members to kindly turn on your video so it'll be helpful to interact more, listen to the discussion of Mr. Sandeep and Vinod. So thanks very much. So Vinod, over to you for a quick panel discussion on the topic FinAll. Yes, Vinod and Sandeep.
Thank you, Prakash. Welcome, Mr. Sandeep Batra.
Thank you.
We all know finance is an ocean. Finance as a terminology covers n number of things. So this topic, I'm sure, will enlighten all the members in this group about what finance is for you as a leader. So let me start with the first question. Maybe know, Mr. Sandeep, maybe know in your opinion, what is finance, or what does the term finance mean to you as a leader?
Sure. So first of all, again, thank you very much for having me on this session. And I am no author like Rosemary is. I am no economist. So what I will share is all from my personal experience, which has spanned now over 34 years. So when I started my work as a fresh chartered accountant, I quite honestly had no clue what is a finance person expected to do in a company. Because the only other only reference I had was people would say finance person is a bookkeeper, he's an accountant, and that's what the designation tells us. We are chartered accountants. But soon I realized after I joined and I started working that accounting was far away, far removed from what a finance person does. So obviously the pure definition of finance in an organization is about cash, about finance, about money. There again, as I started working, I realized that raising money or deploying money is not done by every finance guy. Very few get the opportunity to work in functions like maybe treasury or tax, which is what is called core finance. So then, and as my experience grew, I kind of grouped the role of a finance person, and therefore any finance professional into 4 areas. One is, of course, the classical finance, which is about raising debt, raising cash, raising equity, whatever may be the instrument for raising finances. It could be debt, it could be equity. But at an operational level, and something that most people end up doing in organizations that they may be working for, are basically 3 areas. First and foremost is what they say, control. You have to ensure that whatever controls are there, be it internal controls, etc., are all in place so that the operations happen between defined guardrails. So controls could be about who's authorized to do what kind of expenditure, who's authorized to do what work in the organization. And in today's day and age, most of these controls have become, in that sense, automated. The second facet of a finance person, which is a very, very important aspect, is stewardship. Everybody in the organization looks to the finance person as the steward of the assets of the company. So you have to, as a finance person, ensure that whatever assets are there, and I'll give 1 or 2 examples of what is meant by stewardship. So for example, if your organization has receivables, it's the finance person who's required to ensure that these assets are secured and they can be realized, and there is no major concern as far as receivable is concerned. Or if it is about, let's say, assets in the factory, you have to assure yourself and the organization that these assets exist and these assets are being used for the purpose for which they have been acquired. Uh, Stewardship also has a facet of managing risk. Risk could be in the form of currency risk. If your company is dealing in foreign currency, you have to ensure that you are not running a risk of any impact on the company if the foreign exchange rates change drastically or dramatically. Similarly, as a steward of the assets of the company, you're required to take proper insurance for the company or the assets of the company. So, stewardship is a very important role because the external world looks up to the finance community, and in the external world, of course, the CFO wears is the representative of the function, and everybody looks to him as the steward of the assets of the company. But I think one aspect that has become far more dominant in the last few years has been what they call as a business partner, where you are not just reporting historical numbers, which today there are many IT systems or ERP systems that can do it, but how are you able to interpret what the what the numbers or what the finances of the company are saying, and how can you use that past to kind of help the business navigate the future. And that has become the increasing role and expectation of the finance person, that are you a real business partner, or are you only looking at the rear view mirror and telling the company whatever has happened in the past. So just to sum up, three roles of a finance person. First, as the custodian of controls. Second, as the steward of the assets. And thirdly, as a business partner.
That's wonderful, Mr. Sandeep. The three levels, as you said, it's important for any company, any business to grow. Now, let me move on to the next question. May we also know what's the net worth of a strong leader? We all know about net worth of a company, net worth, the balance sheet of a company, but for a strong leader who has finances well understood and balanced.
It's a very interesting question because, at an individual level, of course, net worth would vary. But if I look at if I were to draw up intangible balance sheet of a person, of a finance person, and maybe I will talk about more the asset side when you look at the net worth. I think first and foremost of a person should be a very strong understanding of the business. Because if you don't understand the business, then how will you partner with your CEO or with your business head? That becomes 100% a prerequisite. And the way a finance person can understand business is obviously to be connected with people who form the key stakeholders of the company. The key stakeholders would be your customers, first and foremost. So how do you connect with the customer, not only to understand his expectations from finance, but more importantly, to understand what is happening in the ecosystem in which your company operates? What is happening to demand? What is happening to competition? What are the challenges that the customers probably face in dealing with your products? So that understanding is very important if you have to be a true business partner. I think the second asset that a finance person must have is knowledge of technology. I think today technology is all pervasive. What was relevant 5 years back is today history. So unless the finance person is able to unlearn and then quickly relearn or learn whatever is contemporary, so the ability to not only unlearn and learn, but specifically with respect to technology, something that is massively disruptive. I think the third asset that a finance person should have is the ability to work with your colleagues and teams. At the end, it's not one individual who is making the decision. And if the finance person has to be a true business partner, then he should be able to influence his colleagues. Could be the person who's leading sales, could be the person who's leading manufacturing or procurement, with whatever are his ideas and thoughts. And I think finally, which is last but not the least, is he should be a good leader for his team. My belief is that you are recognized because you occupy a certain chair or a seat, but you will not be remembered only by what you did as an individual, but the teams that you left behind, the legacy that you left behind, the teams that you created, the people that you nurtured, the future CFOs that you would have groomed under your tutelage. So I think these are the four networks. So when you reflect back, at any point of time, you should see whether you have a connect with all the stakeholders. Do you have the ability to master technology, which is something, as I said, all changing at a very rapid pace. Third, your ability to influence colleagues, your peers, and finally, the team that you build and the legacy that you leave behind.
That's great, Mr. Sandeep. I never expected net worth will have such a deep meaning, like intangible net worth, technology, work with team leader. I hope each and every finance person, be it a finance or a non-finance guy, we can all learn from these four assets, wherein you can drop your own net worth statement and make sure you are top notch in what you handle. Let me move on to the next question. As a leader, you should probably, with such a vast experience, what are the different investment options would you suggest for all in these challenging times?
So I think this is more I think at an individual level. I think my belief has been that when you are a professional and you are working hard to create wealth, it is not inherited. It has not come as a gift or as a lottery. That wealth, the first and foremost is conservation of that wealth, because you would not like to lose it. And for any professional, be it a finance or a non-finance person, you have a finite working life. 30-40 years you will work, and to create whatever capital or whatever wealth you create, I think the first and foremost has to be safety in my mind. We should never do anything which is going to risk the capital that you have spent 30 years or 20 years trying to build. I think the second criteria has to be liquidity. You don't know whatever you are investing for. If things go well, yes, you will have a planned utilization of the capital that you have created. But life is never certain. Life is not predictable. And we don't know when we may need to draw down on not all, but some of the capital that you may have created. Hence, some amount of liquidity is essential, not all of it. All of it you cannot keep in cash or in a bank account. That is value destroying, but there has to be a mix of liquidity. And last but not the least, returns. You must invest your capital in a manner that your returns, whilst ensuring safety and liquidity, also give you returns which are above inflation, because that is the only way you will get your capital to grow and, of course, beat inflation. So many years back, somebody had given this wisdom to me, and I still remember it, that when you are working in whichever field you may be, what you earn is active money. because you are having to work for it, right? It is active wealth. You every day you go to work, you work 12, 14 hours, and that's at the end of the month you get rewarded. But he says at over a period of time, and obviously the older you get and the more number of years you would have worked, the latter will come true. And the latter was passive income. How do you create passive income, which is income that you don't need to work for yourself? That's income which will come from your investment pool. And the day you realize or you figure out that your passive income is significant and sufficient, that is the day when you don't have to work for a living. That is the day when you're not compelled to do something which you may or may not like. So over a period of time, for everybody, it's important to create a pool that gives you passive income, that does not make you 100% dependent on an active source of income. So specifically investment options, there are many. As I said, I'm not an investment guru, but my philosophy for investment, at least it's a personal thought, that safety, liquidity, return. It's not that everything has to be in a fixed deposit, but I'm saying a fair mix of your investment choices. Everybody has a different appetite for equity or mutual fund or debt or whatever, but do make sure that you have enough, that your capital is safe, you have adequate liquidity, and whatever choices you are making is giving you returns which is above inflation. I hope that helps.
Certainly, Mr. Sandeep. But one thing which I would certainly take home is your wisdom with respect to the passive income. We all say work, but we never consider about the passive income. I think it has hit the right tone. Say, even I want to retire by, say, even 50 or 45, we are in private sector. We should always work on this passive income, creating this pool of our investment, and this investment give us our bread and butter when we don't want to work.
Correct.
Thanks for the wonderful wisdom, I would say. Let me move on to the next question. What is the top financial goal one wants to or must accomplish in life?
So I think these financial goals, as I said, will vary from individual because their obligations and their liabilities will be different. Somebody may be more frugal, somebody may have very personal choices. But be that as it may, whatever may be your choice, you may have a lifestyle that requires you to spend, let's say, 100 rupees a month, and there could be somebody whose lifestyle requires him to spend 200 rupees a month. So that's a very personal choice. But the point that I made earlier, that the sooner you are able to create passive income that takes care of your day-to-day needs, I think that time you can say that yes, you are financially secure. And in my experience, that takes many years. It doesn't happen overnight. It requires a lot of disciplined investing. It requires people to appreciate the power of compounding, because the earlier you start investing, that is when you get the real benefit of what they say, the power of compounding. So for all the young folks who are maybe at earlier stages of your career, I would certainly recommend that maximize your provident fund contribution. There is no better investment tool available, absolutely risk-free, currently gives 8% post-tax returns, the safest form, and a tool which has got immense power of compounding. So just to sum up and respond to the specific question, I think the one financial goal is the stage where you feel that your passive income is enough to take care of not only today's needs, because if you have invested that money wisely, it will grow faster than inflation. So hopefully it will take care of your lifestyle and your financial requirements till the time you live. Today, people factor in 90 as a terminal age. So whatever planning you do must last you till the age of 90. My personal philosophy in terms of um, what should be the goal, whichever way you decide and you uh, allocate your resources, my belief is uh, my last check should bounce. So when you die, you die a pauper. You don't have any obligation to leave anything for your family or children. The best thing that you can do for your children is give them good education and a good upbringing so that they can be self dependent and don't need to depend on the family. Give them good education, give them good culture, and plan till the age of 90.
That's a nice one.
Thanks, Sandeep. I have one last question before we wind up. Yes, we talked about liquidity, we talked about returns, everything, but how one can financially protect their loved ones? Say there can be multiple options available before one, but I would like to hear it from you.
So I think, as I said in my earlier in the reply to the earlier question, I think the best investment that you can do is in the education of your children. Give them the best education, make them better and more capable than what you are. We may be limited by what our parents could do, but you must do more than what you got. So first and foremost, to secure the future of your children or your family, give them the best education. Today, there are multiple career options available to children. Unlike the time when I would have passed out, at that time you could either be an engineer or a doctor or an accountant. Today there are hundreds of options. So let them explore and give them the best. But yes, while when we factor in all our planning, we don't consider unforeseen events. We assume that we will be there as the head of the family till whatever age, maybe 90. But life is not like that. Any unforeseen event can happen. So first and foremost, at whatever stage you are, do prepare a will, because that then gives a definitiveness to what will happen after you are not there. Because I've seen many examples of people who would have passed away suddenly, untimely, and then their family struggles to figure out what this the head of the family has done, where has he invested. Nobody has a clue. There is no will. It is possible that there could be some disputes between your heirs. So clear that, make a will. It's very simple. You don't need to go to a lawyer to make a will. So that is something that you should certainly do. Secondly, insurance. I think at the age, if you are young, you must take term insurance. And that term insurance, there are many thumb rules. Every insurance company will tell you it should be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times your annual income is what should be the sum insured. At the same time, that has a cost. But whatever you think is your appetite, at least 2 times your annual income, you should take an insurance, a pure term insurance. We Indians want something in return for everything that we do, but in this case, don't expect anything in return, at least not to you. To the person who takes the insurance, he will get nothing in his life, his family will get. And at least uh, financially, while the loss of a person can never be compensated, but at least the financial disruption will be to some extent mitigated. So do take an insurance, do write a will, and in order that your next generation is as capable, if not more than you, give them the best education. That to me is the best way that you can secure the future of your family.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Mr. Sandeep. That's it from my end. I also believe this term insurance, pure term insurance, is a must for all of us to take. There are multiple investment options available, as you said, but term insurance is one which will be helpful for the family. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. I think we've ended on time. I was told.
Great. Thanks, Vinodh. Thanks, Vinodh, for taking up the panel discussion leader's role and then asking questions to Mr. Sandeep. And I'm sure even in your experience, you would have got many more and many investing. So great. Thanks very much, Sandeep. That's been really, and as Vinodh said, there's a lot of wisdom thoughts is what we're taking from you. The humbleness at which what you have and then what you are actually sharing all the thought processes which you have been doing is really great. For us to listen and understand, and which really motivates us to really invest where we need to. So good one. Thanks very much, Sandeep, for doing it. So Mr. Sandeep, what we'll be doing now is we have a small quiz, and after the quiz is where we have open questions for all our respective members. But before the quiz, we also take, every week we also invite an author of the week. So every week we also invite an author, and that author also shares about their respective book. And the book is also very aligned to our topic, which is where today about they mean business. Okay, so that's when about Rosemary. So before the book introduction of Rosemary, okay, so Rosemary is already in. So now is where Rosemary's book we are going to share about it. So Rosemary, I would like to give you an opportunity, but before me giving an opportunity to share about your book, let me take a quick 1 minute time to introduce Miss Rosemary and what is the book she has written, which will add a lot of value. So Miss Rosemary Marandi, the author of the book They Meant Business. 50 stories is what Rosemary has written about the Indian businesses. Good one. And Miss Rosemary, as a journalist, she has been really great, a very wise editor, and she has been pursuing stories that need to be told. Right? To be formal, she writes indigenous rights for Al Jazeera English, business and economy reviews for Nikkei Asian Reviews, and writer at large for the Video Volunteers. Great. So she's also a research analyst of ISI Emerging Markets. Great. Much more to know about Rosemary, but at this moment, so let's make it short. And we'll give an opportunity to Ms. Rosemary to share about her book, and that will add more value for the people who are here. So over to you, Rosemary, to share about your book, They Meant Business. So who are that they is where I would like to know more. Yes.
Thank you, Prakash, for introducing me, and hello, Mr. Batra, hi, Arul, and everybody else in the who are listening to us today. So the book They Meant Business is, of course, about business leaders who meant business when they were building something that contributed immensely to the building of our nation, our economy mainly. So
Awesome.
It's a collection. It's basically a collection of stories or biographies, if you would say, to some extent, of 50 companies, iconic companies. The names that we recognize a lot, and it starts from pre-independence era. The legacy businesses, the Tata, the Bajaj Group, the Vadias, for that matter, and to pre-liberalization, so after independence, pre-liberalization companies.
Very nice.
The next gen, so Reliance Industries, and then it continues to post-liberalization, new companies, your Airtel, Vodafone Idea, Reliance Jio, and then to startups, because they are the flavor of the season. So it's talking about, so it was a really difficult choice to, bring it down to 50 companies, but we just thought that it'll be nice to have a kind of a combination from different sectors. And, and the stories are not always about how a company was built, or which business leader built it, how their journey, but it's also some of the stories are also about a crucial point in a business. Could be any crucial point. For example, there's a story on Taj we know the terror attack that happened. And after that, I mean, there was a very interesting thing about the employees of Taj Hotel, is that none of the employees had left, or escaped or tried to escape. They were all with um, with their guests till the end.
True.
And why did that happen? Where does that strong sense of what do you call commitment come from?
True.
So one of the stories is around that, and there'll be, it's not just about foundation, like how the story company was built from the scratch, no, but at different junctures, very interesting, something very unique that they did, or they achieved.
Awesome.
So I mean, the idea is to inspire.
Good one, Rosemary. Very nice. So awesome knowing about it. So one itself is a story of this, which is making it more inquisitive to read that book. What is it they did and how? So good one, Rosemary. Thanks very much. There's 50 such stories are there, very inquisitive stories for people to really understand how. That means they mean, so those are business leaders now. They meant business, is it? Okay, good. Thanks very much, Rosemary, for sharing about the book. And for all the visitors and the members and all the leaders who are here today. And as we all know that every week we also conduct a quiz. And Miss Rosemary's book for the quiz winner, who is going to be the quiz winner is going to receive Miss Rosemary's book as complimentary. And if you have to win this quiz, it's very simple. You're going to only the fastest fingers first. You're going to answer the right for the question correctly. All right. So that's what is your role. And for asking the quiz, I would request Ms. Priyanka to ask this question. And so all the members, fastest fingers first, keep it. And then again, we'll invite Mr. Sandeep Batra, Rosemary for sharing this book as well. So Priyanka, over to you for the quiz question.
So hi, good evening, sir. Good evening, Sandeep, sir. Good evening,
evening.
Rosemary, ma'am. Good evening.
Good
evening.
It was a beautiful session, sir, and we learned a lot. Thank you so much. So I just help the members with the quiz. The question is, sir told that at young age, which tool Sandeep sir suggested to invest?
Oh, okay, wow, that's a nice question. People have been listening very clearly. Should have been got the answer by this time. Okay, others quickly answer in the chat box, please. The question is already in the chat box. So, okay, term insurance, compound tool, oh my God, education. I'm able to understand that if you all are listening, but the exact word is still yet to come. Mutual. Okay, good. That's nice.
Sir, if I answer the right answer, I will get that book.
As a quiz leader, I'm sure that will be challenging for you. But I'm sure
Yes.
Rosemary will give you one copy. But yeah, so I'm repeating the question just again for all the leaders here. At a young age, which tool did Mr. Sandeep say that it's suggested to invest in? So there's a tool. I said at a young age itself, we all very young age itself, we need tools. So that helps. Cash, money. Okay. One more answer has come. Is that the answer?
So now we
Priyanka,
can
you
announce.
see the chat box?
Sir, yes, sir. I'm seeing, sir. Now I can announce, sir.
Yes, please go ahead, announce.
Sir, Siva sir is there, and he's the first who answered Provident Fund. Because sir mentioned that, hope sir, Sandeep sir, I'm right. Because sir,
Yes,
you
you're
mentioned
right.
at young age,
Yes.
Provident Fund, we all should invest. So congratulations, sir.
So Shiva Subramaniam, great.
Yes, yes, sir.
Awesome. Thanks. So congratulations, Mr. Shiva Subramaniam, for receiving the book from Miss Rosemary. And they meant business. I believe Mr. Shiva Subramaniam itself is from Titan, from Tata Group. I believe it's the same Shiva Subramaniam, if I am not right. Okay, but good. Thanks very much. And congratulations. Kindly type in the chat box. Congratulations, Mr. Shiva Subramaniam. Good, good. So Rosemary, this book, maybe I would request you to kindly coordinate with Mr. Arul. And I'm sure he will be giving you the address of how you can be able to deliver it to Mr. Shiva Subramaniam. Great.
Sure.
And thanks. And Priyanka, please quickly introduce yourself, Priyanka, so that other people will know you, and then we'll go for the open questions from all.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. As sir already told, my name is Priyanka and I'm working in Ambuja Cement Foundation as a soft skill facilitator. And I joined this group in the month of Feb or March, I hope. And it's been a great opportunity to meet all the professionals, and I'm so lucky that at young age I'm meeting all the professionals and I'm understanding the concept of leadership. So thank you so much, sir. And I'm also happy that I started PF and this is my right investment.
Oh, that's
As
great.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you all.
Good, good. Thanks very much, Priyanka. That's awesome. Keep it up and going. So great. So now is the open time for the quiz. Sorry, for the questions. So for the people who all have any quick questions, any general questions, but specific to the topic that will add value. Two ways to ask the questions. One, either raise your hand and we give you an opportunity to unmute yourself and ask the question. And or two, write the question in the chat box and we will take it on your behalf and we can ask Mr. Sandeep for the question. And feel free if you have any questions to Ms. Rosemary also we can ask. So I believe Mr. Sendil has already raised his hand. So we'll give an opportunity to Mr. Sendil for the question. Yes, Mr. Sendil, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Actually, today's session was really awesome and it was really eye-opener for people like me at my age. Before that, let me introduce myself. I'm Senthil. I've been in Planet for 50 years. Been working in many automotive companies and presently associated with the Daimler India for around 14 years. Presently handling the training and development, skill development section. And I have only one question. Because we all came to Earth. When we came to Earth, our tickets, birth date is already known. But we don't know when we are leaving.
Oh.
But what is the strategy? What is the strategy to make a will at what age or what is appropriate time for writing a will? And how do we handle the consequence of the will after we write
Awesome.
it or after
Excellent
we complete?
questions, huh?
There is no age to write
Criteria.
a will, but yes, most people, nobody writes a will at when you are under 30. But let's say take an age 40 plus. Anytime you reach that age, it's always good to write a will, because the last thing you want is a dispute once you are not there as the head of the family to resolve it. And you can write any number of wills. You can, what people say is that every year you should review and refresh your will, because that has two purposes. One, you can revisit how you want to distribute your assets after you. Secondly, in the will, you will also put down the details of all your assets, something that only you may know. Where you have invested, which mutual fund, which shares, which bank account. Your family may know, but in times of distress, the last thing you want them to do is to run around, right? So what generally people do is when they write the will, they require one doctor to certify that you are doing this out of sane mind, and you need one executor. The executor can be somebody from the family. I mean, some family friend who you trust, and then you leave the will. Some say leave it with the lawyer, but not required. You can leave it with the executor. Executor can be your good friend, and obviously get it signed off with the right number of witnesses, and get it signed by a doctor. And make it a habit every year, refresh it. Doesn't matter. Tear the old will, write it on a piece of paper, give it to your friend.
Register. Do we need to register the register office?
Not required. Not required.
Okay. Then there is a chance that this can be torn or this can be misplaced in case if the family elder or someone wants to, if it is not in his favor, they can try to demolish the will, right? If it is not registered.
They can, but I mean, why go through all this?
Yeah, correct. That's what I was thinking.
As your will is correct, if it is drawn up correctly, it is latest and it has got no infirmity, it is signed by a doctor, and it is given to whoever is you nominate as the executor. It will be very difficult. See, at the end, if somebody wants to take the dispute to court,
Yeah.
nobody can stop it. But assuming that you are doing a fair and a sensible distribution of your wealth, I don't think anybody will challenge it. I mean, extreme cases may.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the awesome decision.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Awesome. Thanks very much for the question, Sendil. It's almost like an apple. We have to cut it into 5 proper equal halves. So then there's no dispute coming and you will be able to do so.
We can't satisfy human with any.
That's always there. Good. So we have 2 more questions, I believe. 2 people have raised the hand. Mr. Sandeep, is that okay? 1 more question or 2 question we'll take?
Yes. Yeah, we can do a couple of more questions. No problem.
Oh, okay, fine. So we have Priyanka and we have Miss Uma. So maybe Miss Uma will go first and then Priyanka will go. I'll come to you. Yeah. Miss Uma, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much, Prakash sir, for giving me this opportunity. My question is to Ms. Rosemary.
Oh, to Miss Rosemary. Okay.
Yeah,
Miss,
Rosemary.
1 second. Just introduce yourself in the meantime, Uma, so that she also
Myself,
had,
Uma, and I am an HR consultant having hands-on experience in the HR domain. My question to Ms. Rosemary is, I just want to understand the best story which you have been compiled so far, like 50 stories in your book you have said so far. Best one according to you, and why it is you consider as the best one. Can you just give me a gist of the story so that we all understand? Because one is a winner, so one most probably one will get others as to order to make on. So we have to wait till the book is getting
That's
delivered.
a part of
so
patience,
what I would
Uma.
like to know about. Yeah, of course, but just a gist of one small story which inspired you and why it inspired you.
I mean, thank you, Uma, for asking me this. But then, it's really difficult to choose one favorite story. But I will tell you that I am especially fond of the story of how Lijjat Papad was formed.
Lijjat Papad, yeah.
There's a chapter on Lijjat Papad, and this was started by 3 women. So I will not give you the full story, though you can read it.
Yeah, make it so they'll read it, okay?
Yeah. There was this 7 women who came together in Mumbai, in Buleshwar, and they were all homemakers. And this is a hobby of making papad. All our mothers, I wish we could also do it, but we don't have terraces like that. But making papad, making buddies, everything. So they started doing that, and it started out of a hobby, and then it came the idea that why not sell it. And what they started doing is more and more, from seven sisters, more and more women started joining them. And it became a full-fledged business. Even now, Lijjat Papad, it's empowering women in a very different way. I mean, in very small centers they have this, and this is not like a full-time job. They're owners of the company. They're all owners. They're all stakeholders, and the way they process things, the same taste everywhere you go, the same consistency.
Super.
But still, the kind of empire they managed to build is an amazing story. So also, it's not what also happened was the 7 sisters, they never featured in the Forbes rich list or Fortune, billionaires, whatever. They never featured in that, but they made decent whatever, but they made money. Women who associated with them. So it was distribution of wealth. So I think you should read it more.
Read it more.
That's really an inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Uma, for asking that question. And for other members and other leaders, in fact, in the chat box, we have Ms. Rosemary's book link. And if you wish to buy, definitely, yes, Shiva Subramaniam has got a jacket to buy. Please go ahead. That's the book which is written by Rosemary. Yeah. So we had one last question. So let me ask, which is Priyanka, I believe. Priyanka, you had a question, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
quickly go ahead, Priyanka.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My question is to Sandeep, sir. Sandeep, sir, actually, I just want to ask, which are the mutual funds? If you want to spend money now in the mutual fund, so in which mutual fund we can go? I hope if so you can help us.
I am sorry, but I am not a investment
Yes, sir.
expert.
Yes,
But there
sir.
are, what you can do is there is this website, mutualfundsahihai.com.
Okay.
Go to that website. It will tell you what has been the past performance of all the funds.
Okay.
So go, because while they say past is no indication of what will happen in the future, but that's the best piece of information you have to distinguish between good performing and poor performing funds. But first, decide whether you want to invest in an equity fund or a balanced fund or a debt fund.
Yes, sir.
And then see the past returns and accordingly make that informed choice. But the best way to do it, again, even if you are doing, if you want to start mutual funds, one advice will be that to take advantage of compounding, do it in what they call systematic investment plan. So let's say you want to invest 100 rupees
Yes, sir.
over a year, do 10 rupees every month rather than putting all 100 rupees in one shot. Never make bullet investments because, as they say, you cannot time the market. You cannot say I will buy today because market is very attractive. What will give you better return is time in the market.
Yes, sir.
So the
Oh, that's
longer
nice.
you stay invested, so you can never time the market, but stay in the market, do a systematic investment plan. Today it is very simple. You set it up once from your bank, and on whatever is the date, the bank will, so you can do it directly on the fund. You don't need to even do it via your bank. Go to the, once you have done your research, decide the fund that you want, decide the amount that you want to set aside every month in that fund, and go to the site of the mutual fund and set up your SIP.
Yes.
After that, you don't need to do anything till whatever 5, 10, 15 years. You see your capital grow.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Good one. Thank you very much, Sandeep. It's good. And thanks, Priyanka, for asking that question. So I believe we're coming to an end of our episode LC015. It's been great. And which we'll have a quick summary. And Mr. Batra will have, after this, what we do is we only have a quick, short summary of the program, what we discussed today. And we'll go introduce the next week leader and we come to an end. And for all our visitors and members who are here, at the end of once we complete it, we have a quick introduction where we all can introduce each other, where for people who have joined for the first time, that's an opportunity to introduce yourself so they'll get to know. But once we have completed this episode is where we start the same. Yeah. So stay back. And yes, I would request Mr. Senthil to quickly summarize in short as what is the key takeaway from this particular episode.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prakash, for giving this opportunity. As time keeps pressing, let me keep this short. The summary of today's session is, as Sir was mentioning, when he started the finance, the first perspective, he's seen this as a bookkeeper or something like a ledger, keeping a ledger. But in reality, it was something far from what he has thought. And when it comes to money investment, we need to cautiously invest money either with the provident fund. And there are 4 types of money strategy that we are saying. One is the classical control of whether debt, equity, gain, loss, or pre-endal. Other is the stewardship, about the asset, custodian, depreciation, insurance, and exchange value. And third is the business partner traits, where we talk about the balance sheet, quarterly, annual, and net worth. And last is the business partner, where we focus on the balance sheet, balance sheet net worth. And last is the understanding the language of customer, who is the key stakeholder in terms of finance. One is understanding the language. Second is the technology, like courage to unlearn and then learn the technology. And third is articulating with peers, communicating with colleagues, partners, stakeholders. And last is building legacy. Now coming to the investment part, we need to plan our strategy of investment at least till the age of factor 90. And we need to invest it in a very cautiously by doing a ground level study. And he has also cited Irish proverb, your last check should be to the undertaker. It means undertaker, and it should bounce.
It should bounce, true.
Yeah. So this was really a heart-touching, and it has got a lot of wisdom behind this proverb. And last but not least is to give the family a best education, prepare will, and understanding the will strategy. We learned a lot today, and take a term insurance.
Yes. Good. Superb, Senil sir. Thanks for the quick nutshell summary of what all was being shared by the wisdom of Mr. Batra. Good one. And we come to an end, and then I request to share the vote of thanks. I request Ms. Uma to share the vote of thanks for all the people, including a panel discussion leader, Mr. Vinodh, and all the people who are there. So I would request Uma, please go ahead, share the vote of thanks for all on behalf of Leaders Connect.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. And I take immense pleasure in delivering the vote of thanks. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Myself, Uma Parameshwari, an HR professional and also an HR consultant, who's happy to deliver the vote of thanks for today. My major takeaway from the session is understanding the business and understand your customers as key traits of strong leader. Hope everyone had so much of takeaways from today's session. Let me quickly share the purpose of the community. For the first visitors who are attending for the first time, Leaders Connect 360 is a hybrid model leadership community where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we invite a top management leader from a reputed corporate company to suggest some solutions for our real-time leadership challenges, like what we have seen today. Our chief guest, Mr. Sandeep Batra, has shared his experience and expertise on the subject. Kindly follow our social media platforms to know about our next week's guest details and topics. Registration link for the episode will be shared through social media platforms duly. It's very simple to join our community. Do click on the below social media links. It gives me an immense pleasure to thank our guest, Mr. Sandeep Batra, and panel discussion leader, Mr. Vinodh, and author Ms. Rosemary for spending your valuable time in sharing her expertise and experiences. Guests and others in the house, kindly accept a gesture of thanks through a medium of thanking video. We recommend members and visitors to stay tuned till the end as we give an opportunity to introduce ourselves, which will help us network better. Thank you so much, Sandeep sir and Vinodh sir, and also Rosemary ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been a great session.
I'll sign off. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
you very much, sir. We'll stay in touch. Thank you. You can go ahead to the video. Thank you, video, Arul, and then we'll have our quick introduction of all. Great. Thanks, one and all. It's been really great.